The Anabolic Cop, who tried to use a Supreme Court case like a blunt object to drag a passenger out of a car? If you've been following this channel, you know I've been tracking the career of Deputy Christian Mail, the officer who thought Pennsylvania versus Mimms gave him a blank check to ignore the Fourth Amendment during a traffic stop that was already over. Well, I have a hell of an update for you. That original criminal case involving Vince, the nurse who filmed the whole encounter, has officially come to a close. But that's not the headline. I just found out that Officer Mail is no longer with his department. Did he resign? Was he fired? It's actually much more explosive than that. Christian Mail was just arrested. And if you think I'm in the business of making this up, here is his mugshot. It turns out, the same aggressive temper we saw on that bodycam footage didn't just stay on the job, it followed him home. Last night, my inbox was blowing up with reports of a domestic incident in West Virginia that resulted in this lawman being put behind bars himself. The criminal complaint against Patrolman Mail reads like a horror story, and it wasn't written by a disgruntled civilian, it was written by a West Virginia state trooper. According to the report, at approximately 0200 hours on March 30th, troopers responded to a domestic violence call where dispatch could actually hear a female screaming and crying before the line went dead. When officers arrived, the victim, Mail's own fiancée, was at the door trembling. She alleged that after an argument at a bar, Mail began driving his personal vehicle at speeds exceeding 104 miles per hour, repeatedly swerving off the road and telling her, point blank, that he was going to kill her. When she tried to use her phone to call for help, he didn't just take it. He allegedly ripped it from her hands and hurled it into the windshield with such force that it shattered the glass. But it didn't stop there. Once home, the victim retreated to a bedroom and locked the door to call 911. Mail allegedly forced his way in, grabbed her by the throat, and slammed her against the door before throwing her onto the bed. Investigators documented multiple physical injuries and found 2 loaded handguns in his vehicle when they apprehended him a mile away. It's a chilling pattern of a man losing his temper, and it forces us to ask, was his behavior with Vince about officer safety, or was it just the same unchecked aggression we see in this report? When we look at the footage of Deputy Mail from last year, we aren't just looking at a breakdown in procedure, we're looking at a personality profile. In that video, we saw him escalate a mundane traffic stop for a left-of-center violation into a violent confrontation in seconds. He was theatrical, he was aggressive, and he was desperate to exert dominance. He cited federal case law like a weapon, but the moment he was challenged with logic, he reached for the mace. Now, compare that to the allegations in this domestic battery report. The common thread isn't the law, it's the loss of control. In both instances, you have a man who, when faced with a situation that doesn't go exactly his way, resorts to physical intimidation. Whether it's slamming a fiancée against a door or threatening to drag a peaceful passenger out of a car, the underlying mechanic is the same: unbridled temper. This is why we watch these videos. It's not just about one bad stop, it's about the recidivism of the badge. How does an officer with these clear behavioral red flags simply move from the Barber County Sheriff's Office to the Elkins Police Department? It's a game of musical chairs, where the only thing that changes is the patch on the arm, while the danger to the public remains exactly the same. Even after changing departments, it seems Patrolman Mail couldn't resist the lure of a fishing expedition. In the brand new footage from Elkins, we see him pull a driver over for a loud exhaust, a minor infraction. He issues a verbal warning, which, by law, concludes the stop. But instead of walking away, he launches into a secondary detention. He starts asking about welding school, checking points on licenses, and eventually orders everyone out of the vehicle. Why? Because he wanted to run his dog. Mail tells the driver, I have a dog, so I don't need your consent. This is a classic badge-heavy misinterpretation of the law. Under the Four Circuits ruling in U.S. v. Bowman and the Supreme Court's decision in Rodriguez versus United States, an officer cannot prolong a completed traffic stop for a canine sniff without independent reasonable suspicion. Mail's suspicion was as flimsy as ever: nervousness and swollen hands. He even tried to claim the passengers had to exit for their own safety because his dog is a bite dog. If your K9 is such a liability that citizens aren't safe in their own cars, that's a department problem, not a legal justification to bypass the Fourth Amendment. He wasn't protecting anyone. He was hunting for a reason to make an arrest, using his dog as a shortcut through the Constitution. The story of Christian Mail is a stark reminder that the badge is not a shield for bad behavior. It's a responsibility that some simply aren't equipped to carry. He spent his career citing the law to justify his aggression, only to find himself on the receiving end of a criminal complaint that he can't, officer safety, his way out of. He's currently out on an $8,000 bond, facing the very system he once claimed to represent. But there's a larger lesson here for all of us. Whether it's a roadside in West Virginia or a domestic incident behind closed doors, the common denominator is a lack of accountability until the cameras start rolling or the reports become too loud to ignore. This is why we document these encounters. It's why we dissect the phishing expeditions and the fraudulent K-9 threats. Our rights don't end where an officer's fear, or his ego, begins. Freedom is inherently scary to those who want to control you, but it's a reality they have to deal with. Now, there's one more piece to this puzzle, the origin story. I have the footage that explains exactly why he was forced out of his previous agency before he even landed at Elkins. You won't want to miss that update. Until then, stay safe, stay vocal, and remember to subscribe to Justice Valley. Title: Remember him? The cop who cited Mimms is now in jail.